Hi, this is Kimi and I want to tell you that one of the oddest questions that I ever get is, so how does project management actually help business? By the way, it's usually asked by somebody who doesn't quite get project management. Kind of a surprise, huh? So, how project management helps business can be considered a viable question unless you really stop and go all the way back to the beginning, to the definition of a project. A definition of a project is that a project has a beginning and an end, a unique deliverable, and requires the coordinated efforts of a lot of people. Okay, you won't find that entire definition in the project management body of knowledge. The little bit at the end was all me. Now, given that definition, beginning, end, unique deliverable, and the coordinated efforts of multiple people, stop and think about how much happens in a typical business, if there is such a thing, that meets that criteria. If you're in the federal sector, what if the IG office decides to come down and visit? An audit has a beginning and an end, and every single report is different. And it's going to require the efforts of a number of people. Let's go to the for-profit sector. New products. Oh my goodness. Think about this. There's when somebody comes up with a good idea, and then they have to kind of get it through the committees or, maybe one or two other people before they can actually make a case that this is a good idea. This is something they should actually build, that there's a market for it. And then all of a sudden, the second stage starts, and people start trying to create that product, which is awesome. But it doesn't usually happen in a vacuum. There tend to be a lot of people who are involved in this, and there are some very specific objectives that the organization wants to achieve with that end product, with that new introduction to the marketplace. So again, it's got a beginning, it's got an end, and there's a unique expectation for every single product that hits a marketplace, even if it's developed by the exact same company. Each of those products has a different objective, a different expectation to achieve. Now let's go operational. Every once in a while, you get to look at the possibility or the probability or the enforced adoption of some new tools. Let's face it, the end of life cycles for even the best of tools means somebody's going to have to make some adjustments. But there's an end, a beginning, and a unique expectation. Some new applications are heads and shoulders above the old ones. And frankly, the only reason why anybody objects to it is because they don't know how to use it yet. It's not comfortable yet. It's new. Okay, and I get it. But the transition from an old application that you're very comfortable using to a new application that will be supported going forward by its manufacturer, well, that has a beginning, it has an end, and there are some specific criteria for success, even though most of the time they're a little tougher to find. How many complaints are going to be accepted as an acceptable level? How many people that have to be trained have to be retrained to be considered an acceptable level? You see, every single one of these endeavors brings value to the business. and it helps the business go forward. Because whether or not you are interested in project management only if it uses the agile approach, or project management if everybody just understands that we're going to use a combined approach and we're going to use some agile tools and some water predictive tools and some lean tools and some Six Sigma tools, regardless of your approach, the professionals in project management and the whole community have pretty much one thing in common. We know how to get things done. We take pride in getting things done. For many of us, the move from project management to project leadership has been hard won, and we are justifiably quite proud of it. You see, project management is just part of what has to happen in order for a project to actually deliver any value to any business, any organization. It also requires project leadership. Project management is about the processes and the tools. Project leadership is about commitment, environment, cultures of high performance, and people who are in it to get things done because they understand the value of getting things done. And sometimes they're actually more clear about the pain that the entire organization is going to have to go through if they don't get things done. So perhaps a more applicable question might be, how are you making sure that your constituency, your stakeholder community, your leadership team, how can you make sure that they understand how project management helps the organization, helps the business, helps the agency? So step one, make sure everybody on your team is crystal clear about how this project, this objective, and this product contribute to the overall strategic health of the organization. There's a strategic plan. Where does this one fit in? And make sure further that every single person on your team understands their personal stake in that. What is the direct connection between what they do as a person and what the organization stands to benefit? It's a powerful motivator. So, first step, make sure everybody is crystal clear about the connection between this project and the overall strategy of the organization. Second, this may sound counterintuitive, but talk to people about the headaches they don't have to manage because you and your team will. I know, but bear with me here. I used to travel a lot. I'm kind of looking forward to doing that again sometime soon. But back to the topic. If you go into any airport sundries shop, you know, where you can get all sorts of interesting things like magazines, things to drink you probably shouldn't because they contain a monster amount of sugar, and things that you probably would like to eat, but maybe you might consider not having a third candy bar on this trip. Somewhere in there is a tiny little bitty section of pharmaceutical first aid. In that store, in the airport, you could pay as much as $4 for 4 painkillers. We're talking headache level painkillers. We're not talking about something like Vicodin or Percodan. We're talking about Tylenol or Advil or Bayer. Okay, got that picture? $4, 4 painkillers. Now, I'm a bargain hunter by nature and by preference. So when I tell you that I buy my painkillers at the dollar store, those of you who know me well probably aren't terribly surprised. But if you stop and think about it, if I can get 100 painkillers for $1, why on earth would I spend $4 for only 4 of them? Well, you probably already figured out the answer, but just so that we're all on the same page, let me be clear about this. The value of those painkillers have to do with the urgency, the immediacy, and the level of discomfort that you're suffering. Because if you get a monster headache in the airport and you don't have any painkillers left in your first aid kit, you might be willing to pay $4 for 4 aspirin. Here's the thing though. If you never had the headache to begin with, you don't see the value in that $4 packet of painkiller. You just don't. And as project management professionals, members of our community within the entire global community of project managers specialize in taking care so that our sponsors and our clients do not experience a significant number of the headaches that our team, sometimes just us, but most of the time our team, take care of on their behalf. But does that mean that that headache couldn't have a significant value? Yes, they could have a significant value. If you have helped people see what your team has done, the trouble it has gone through to make sure that those headaches aren't happening to begin with. So, first step was making sure everybody is clear about why and what and how your project connects to the strategic plan for the overall organization. But the second step is to help your client and your leadership team understand that one of the key benefits that they get out of project management and project leadership are the headaches that have been dealt with without their even having to think about it. Step number 3, please, please make sure that you repeat steps 1 and 2 on a fairly regular basis. Not all the time. Nobody likes a nag. But let's face it, sometimes inside our own heads, we figure, well, this was so monumental a step, and everybody seems to understand. I don't have to do this again. Oh, yeah, you will. Nobody's stupid, and nobody's deliberately trying to, well, okay, nobody's stupid, and most of the time, there isn't anybody who's deliberately trying to make sure that the value of your project and your team's efforts are getting lost. It just happens. Let's face it, some of us can't even remember what we had for lunch last Tuesday. Can you remember the details of the project briefing that you sat in but didn't deliver from a month ago? Yeah, it does get a little rough. So, step 1, make sure everybody's clear. Step 2, communicate the value of project management to your clients and your leadership team, in part by helping them see the potential impact of problems that your team and you solved for them. Step 3, repeat steps 1 and 2. Look, we try to make sure that you get specific steps that you can use in each and every one of our YouTube videos. Leadership-driven project management is, like so many people have defined project management alone, part science and part art. But we like to give you specific steps that you can take immediately. Simple but powerful steps that you can take to help protect your team, deliver better, and create a tighter bond between what your project is going to achieve and what the organization's overall strategy is. So if you have been finding these videos helpful, please like, or even better yet, subscribe. And if there is a topic that you think we'll probably cover at some point, because we release videos on a pretty regular schedule, please let us know. Our contact information is at the tail end of this video. And we would like to know, because you're right, it probably is on the list, but maybe we need to move it up a little bit higher in the shooting schedule. Delighted to do that. I'm Kimi Zimski. This video is from the Leadership Driven Project Management Initiative. Thank you for joining us.